We love to think of musical talent as this pure, magical thing, right? Something that can overcome any obstacle. But what if success, especially in the super competitive world of elite music universities, has less to do with just raw talent and a lot more to do with where you come from? Today, we're diving into a really fascinating academic investigation that pulls back the curtain on that very question.
So, where are we getting all this from? Well, this whole deep dive comes from a bachelor's thesis called Musical Education and Social Inequality, written at the incredible Humboldt University of Berlin. So this isn't just someone's opinion, it's serious academic research, and we're going to break it all down together.
All right, here's our game plan. First, we'll set the scene and talk about why this is an unequal field to begin with. Then, we'll zero in on the core research question. After that, we'll look at the sociologists' tools used for the investigation, how they gathered clues with a survey, what the findings actually revealed, and finally, why this story has a bit of an open ending. Okay, let's kick things off with Section 1, an unequal field. To really get what this investigation is about, we need a little bit of context. So, for the last few decades, Germany, and a lot of Europe, has been going through these huge educational reforms.
A big piece of this was something called the education expansion, and the idea behind it was honestly pretty awesome. Let's make university more accessible to everyone. The goal was to make it more democratic, so your success wouldn't depend so much on your family's social or economic status.
So here's the million-dollar question, right? Did it actually work? I mean, did just opening the doors wider automatically level the playing field for everybody in every single field of study?
Well, the short answer, according to the research, is not really. Despite all these good intentions, social inequality has turned out to be incredibly stubborn, and it's especially persistent in these super competitive, highly specialized areas, like the elite music schools that are the focus of this entire study. And that, right there, sets up our central mystery.
Which brings us perfectly into Section 2, where we get to the absolute heart of this whole thing, the research question.
And here it is. This is the question that drives the entire investigation. Notice it's not just asking if your background matters. It's digging deeper, trying to figure out how it matters. It's almost like a detective story, trying to uncover the hidden forces that shape a musician's life.
And I think this is so smart. The researcher breaks this massive question down into 3 smaller, manageable parts. First, manifestation. How do we even see this inequality? Second, access. Who's actually getting through the door of these elite schools in the first place? And third, success. Once you're in, who actually sticks with it, thrives, and makes it all the way to graduation?
Now, to answer a question that complex, you can't just guess. You need the right tools. So, in Section 3, we're going to open up the investigator's toolkit and look at the key concepts from sociology that were used to frame this whole thing.
This quote from the famous sociologist Pierre Bourdieu is the perfect place to start. What he's saying here is that our taste in music isn't just some random preference. It's a powerful signal about our social identity and our class. This idea is absolutely central to the whole analysis.
The first tool is a concept Bourdieu came up with called cultural capital. Think of it like an invisible inheritance. It's not about money in the bank. It's about the knowledge, the skills, the tastes, the way you speak and act, all the things that signal you belong in certain circles. It's knowing which composers to talk about or just how to carry yourself in an audition. It's the stuff you can't learn from a textbook.
And the second tool gets even more specific, musical habitus. This is all about those deeply ingrained, almost unconscious attitudes and skills you have around music, which are shaped by your entire life experience. It's the difference between a kid who grows up with classical music playing in their home all the time and one who doesn't. It shapes their instincts, their very feel for the music before they ever play a single note.
Okay, so armed with these really cool theoretical tools, how did the researcher actually go about finding evidence? Well, that brings us to Section 4, the survey. Time to gather some clues.
To get to the bottom of this, the researcher created an online survey and collected responses from 49 people, all of them current or former students at German music universities. Their real-world experiences are the raw data for this entire investigation. And this survey was really carefully designed to build a complete profile of everyone. It covered the basics, of course, but it also crucially dove into their family background, what their parents did, their education levels, and then it traced their entire musical journey, right from childhood all the way through university. All right, this is the moment we've all been waiting for. The big reveal. Section 5, the findings. After all the theory and all the data collection, what did the evidence actually show? So take a second and think about it. What do you think mattered most? Was it the number of hours they practiced? Pure God-given talent? Or maybe having a super expensive instrument? Well, the survey results point to a really specific mix of factors.
And here they are. First up, and maybe no surprise, financial resources. You need money for lessons, for good instruments, for just living while you study. Second, an early start. Getting into serious musical training as a young kid seems to be a huge advantage. Third, and this is so important, having highly educated parents with lots of that cultural capital we just talked about. And finally, just the way a family's background can shape the choice to even try for a career in music.
So, case closed, right? Well, not exactly. Like any really good investigation, this one doesn't end with a simple, tidy answer. And that brings us to our final section, an open ending.
What the thesis does is successfully confirm that, yes, social background plays a massive role in a musician's success. It identifies those key factors we just saw. But it also concludes that the complete picture, the super intricate way all those factors connect and influence each other, is incredibly complex. And we need more research to fully understand it.
So the final recommendation here isn't a final answer, but a call to action for what comes next. The author says that future research really needs to be interdisciplinary, bringing together experts from sociology, education, and musicology to keep digging deeper and untangle this complicated web.
And this all leaves us with a really powerful idea to chew on. This research strongly suggests that in the elite world of music, raw talent often isn't enough. And it makes you wonder, right? Not just in music, but in any competitive field. What are all the invisible forces that are truly defining who gets a shot at success?